All right, guys, I want to talk about aviation biofuels today. Jens, Carolina, and I took some time to research this semester, and I'm Brad, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about it here. I'm going to kind of introduce the topic and help you understand what we did our research on. Aviation biofuels, why are they so important? Well, the aviation industry is a major part of the world economy, and it transports a lot of people and a lot of cargo around the world. Finding a way to use sustainable resources to power aircraft is a major challenge facing the industry right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the products that are aviation biofuels, what the difference is between that and Jet A, which is the current fuel that they use. We're going to do kind of an industry analysis for you, and then we'll talk about the general ecosystem that would have to develop in order for it to be a viable business model. Talk about some of the business and marketing challenges, and then we're going to give you some potential solutions and recommendations after that. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about aviation biofuels today. So what are they? Well, a biofuel is anything that comes from a renewable resource. They're a hydrocarbon fuel, and they're produced from organic matter. Now, we've heard of things that come from things like corn and cane sugar. Those are what are referred to as competing feedstock, excuse me. Well, these new second generation, and we'll talk about what that means a little bit later, second and third generation biofuels come from things like camelina, jatropha, algae, and consumer waste, like vegetable oil that you see down at the restaurant. They can derive a biofuel from that. And these biofuels are designed for drop-in use. Well, what does that mean? That means that they can easily integrate into the existing infrastructure that is in place at the current time.
Okay, this is Carolina and I'm going to tell you about biofuels' importance in aviation industry. Currently, biofuels have a great importance because of the sustainability and climate change concerns. Biofuels, compared with fossil fuels, are more efficient, reduce operating costs once there is economy of scale, and producers are actively working about viability with current engines and drop-in methods. Biofuels are also cleaner than fossil fuels. What it means? It means that biofuels have the ability to reduce life cycle carbon emissions by up to 80%.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the aviation industry today. The aviation industry is divided into three major divisions. There's commercial, there's general, and defense. Commercial aviation is exactly what you see at the airport when you go and buy a ticket, be it on Delta, Alaska, Southwest, any of those airlines like that. General aviation is what you see at smaller airports and small airplanes taking off, private aviation, that sort of thing. And defense is exactly what it sounds like. It's an F-15 taking off from an aircraft carrier. So what we're going to focus on is commercial aviation because the cargo and the passenger side of commercial aviation stand to gain a lot from the transition to biofuels. And some of the players in this industry are Solazyme, Honeywell, Selena, and Nestle Oil. And each of these has a key place in the adoption cycle of this new technology. And each is conducting research and development so that they from different parts of feed sources, and they all are trying different refining methods to see what would be the best to get up to an economy of scale.
So next we're going to be talking about the ecosystem involved in the aviation biofuel industry and also relate that to the value chain because they're very closely related ideas. And this is a really important concept to understand when it comes to aviation biofuels because the full-scale adoption and commercialization of biofuels is a huge undertaking and it's not feasible for any one company or few companies to take on alone. And due to the intricacies and dependence in different levels of the value chain, the commercial airline industry needs to combine resources for an economy of scale. And you can see this ecosystem we have here outlines the start of our value chain or ecosystem is with the base raw materials, and that's the feedstock inputs such as jatropha, camelina, algae, etc. And then move on to transportation of base raw materials to production and refining. And through production or refining, this is where our industry players come into the picture, and that's Solazine, Salina, Honeywell, Nestle Oil, and this is where oil industry partners would be very beneficial for large scale production. And after refinement, we move to transportation to airports, and this would be essential if we could, or if the aviation biofuel industry could do this via pipeline, because that infrastructure is already there. We'll talk about that more in the business and marketing implications, and then finally loops around to the actual flight. And yeah, some other important players that aren't on this ecosystem graph are airline manufacturers and engine manufacturers, and they're really important here due to testing and quality control, and also making sure that the biofuels have strong viability and up to the FAA standards. As mentioned in the previous slide, as far as business and marketing challenges for aviation biofuels, a lot of these implications are based at different points along the value chain. We'll start with the scaling up of production, and a very important part of this, if the supply chain could adapt to the large-scale production and marketing needs for biofuels, costs would drop. This problem is expressed from an interview with Boeing's director of sustainable aviation fuels, where he said there's no rocket science involved in making the fuel. The problem right now is that there isn't any full-scale production facilities. And this implication here could be greatly decreased with key partnerships with some of the oil companies and some of their refining resources. Currently, as far as partnerships go, when relating to business and marketing challenges, there are some horizontal partnerships between some of the major airlines and some of the producers we mentioned earlier. But the real partnerships that are in need of development include partnerships with oil manufacturers and some of their infrastructure and distribution methods, and also tying back into the production from above here.
Currently, biofuels are at great disadvantage to conventional jet fuel due to their overall higher cost of production and market price. This new technology does not have enough ubiquity into the market to gain economies of scale and thereby reduce the cost of the fuel. Fuel is an airline's single largest cost component in their overall cost structure. That's the reason because it is so important to mitigate the risk from oil prices fluctuation. This risk can be mitigated through the use of hedging, but not completely eliminated. In contrast, biofuels' historical and future prices tend to be more stable. This is because there is less volatility in the price of feedstock. However, the price per unit is still higher than jet fuel, leading airlines and other operators to shy away from its use.
All right, so some potential solutions that we have for some of the business and marketing implications that we just talked about. Probably the most important solution that we can suggest for aviation biofuels is partnerships. Like I said previously, these would be horizontal and vertical partnerships. That would be anything from entailing the oil companies that are involved in transportation and the infrastructure and storage, to also the airports. If mass production here isn't viable from strategic partnerships, stress could be redistributed from the value chain with regional refineries, and this could be used specialized for different parts of the country or globe where there's more availability of this certain type of feedstocks. And this could take stress off the value chain for production and refining for those areas.